This conference will now be recorded.
Hello guys, very good evening for all. I hope you all are well and doing good. So guys, am I audible for you? And also my screen is visible. Kindly confirm. Hello guys, am I audible for you? All right. So in the last session, we have discussed about the manufacturing process. I hope you have done the practice for that. If you have any doubt, query from the last session topic, then let me know. So guys, you don't have any doubt, query from the last topic. Now let's see the next. The next is the GST. We are going to start with GST in Tele software. Before that, we have to discuss some theory points. So let's get started. The first comes up here, what is GST? So in simple word, GST guys stand for Goods and Services Tax. You all know. It is basically a single tax on the supply of goods and services, right from the manufacturer to the consumer. Basically, GST stands for Goods and Services Tax, and GST is a direct taxation system and also a single tax on the supply, means the sale of goods and services. From the manufacturing to the consumer, only one type of GST will be applicable on a particular product. It is one nation, one tax in all over India. GST stand for practically basic for one type of percentage. Then it is saying GST is an indirect taxation in India, merging most of the existing taxes into a single taxation system of taxation. Before the GST, there were multiple taxes available on the product like value added tax, service tax, custom duty, excise duty, and etc. But after implementing the GST, it is converted into the one nation, one tax. The taxable event is supply as against the existing taxable event of sale, manufacture or provision of service. It extends to whole India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir from 1st July 2017. In India, GST was applied from 1st July 2017, exempt the state of Jammu and Kashmir. The next comes up here, GST slab rates. Kindly have a look on the first point, guys. If you have any confusion in this, you can ask. Now the next point comes up, GST slab rates. There are 5% slab rate, 12%, 18%, and 28%. In the 5% of slab rate of GST, the goods and services comes up at the list. It is available just few examples. In the 12%, these 18%, 88, 28%. If you want to check the entire list, what kind of goods and services comes in which type of slab rate, we can check on this link. If you open that link, it is basically the government portal where entire goods and services given here as per their GST rates. You can see currently it is showing for the goods and you can check the things. You can search for a particular goods as well, or you can search for a particular heading. Okay. If you click on the services, it will show you the service list on which service, which type of tax is applicable. Then the third point comes GST components. There are basically three types of component in GST: CGST, SGST, and IGST. CGST stands for Central Goods and Services Tax, SGST stands for State Goods and Services Tax, and IGST stands for Integrated Goods and Services Tax. If I talk about at which time which kind of component is applicable, it is very simple. When we are selling or purchasing the goods or the services within the state, means local. Suppose our company is registered in the Delhi state, and if we are purchasing and selling the goods in Delhi only under the Delhi, so on that product CGST and SGST will be applicable. Suppose on a product, if it is 18% tax on a washing machine, for example, if you are purchasing the washing machine from Delhi, you are located in the Delhi, so on that product 9% CGST and 9% as GST will be applicable. But if you sold or purchased the same product outside the state, for example, our company is located in Delhi and we are dealing with a party who is from like some other state, Haryana, Maharashtra, Punjab, etc. So on that product, IGST will be applicable. For example, on a washing machine, 18% GST, we are purchasing or selling that washing machine from other states. On that 18% IGST will be applicable. Basically, CGST and SGST is the 50% of IGST. So is the GST component clear for all, guys? Do you have any confusion? If you have, then let me know. All right. Now comes up GST registration. GST is basically payable by every taxable person on the supply of goods or the services. Liability to pay arises when the turnover of the taxable person crosses the threshold limit of 40 lakhs. Means if your business turnover, annual turnover is crossing the 40 lakhs amount, in that case you must have to take the GST registration. Okay. But if you are under the 40 lakh limit, you can take the registration or you can not take. It is up to you. Government will not force you to take the registration, but when the limit is crossed, the government will force you to take the registration because it is mandatory. But for some special category states, this limit is 20 lakh, including the state of like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Jammu Kashmir, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Himachal, and Uttarakhand. In these states, the aggregate turnover limit is 20 lakhs per annum. Then comes up here time limit for the registration. Basically, registration should be taken within 30 days in Form GST Registration 1 from the date on which a person becomes liable for registration. PAN number is mandatory for obtaining the GST registration. Okay. To take the registration, you must have the PAN number for your business. And also you have to take the registration within 30 days on the date which you have applicable to take the registration. A person having multiple business verticals in a state can obtain separate registrations. Basically, if you have multiple business operations in a single state, so you can take multiple and separate GST registrations for that. Then every person who is liable to take a registration will have to get registered separately for each of the state where he has business operation and is liable to pay GST. Basically, if your business vertical in across the India, so like in different states, you have to take the registration separately for the single states. Okay, because there is no option to take centralized registration. You cannot take a registration for the whole India, for the whole country. You have to get registered separately for each of the state where your business vertical is available. So guys, till this point, is everything clear? If the business aggregate turnover crosses the 40 lakh annual return, annual value, then you have to take registration. It is mandatory. PAN number is mandatory to take registration. Also, for the special category states, the limit for registration is 20 lakhs. You have to take the registration within 30 days when we applicable for the take the registration. Like when our aggregate turnover crosses the 40 lakh annual value, we have 30 days from the date to take the registration. PAN number is mandatory for that. A person having multiple business vertical in a state can obtain separate registrations. Basically, if you have multiple business vertical in a state, you have to take registration separate for all those business. Every person who is liable to take a registration will have to get registered separately for each of the state where he has business operations and liable to pay GST. If you have business verticals in multiple states, you have to take registration separately for each of the state because there is no option to take the centralized registration. Basically we cannot take the registration for the entire country or for the pan India. We have to get registered separately for each of the state. Now the GST registration number. GST, when we get registered, we will get a registration number. That registration number is a 15 digits alphanumeric digit. Okay, and it contains 5 elements. Elements, for example, first element state code, then PAN number, then an entity code, then an alphabet, and then a check digit. If I talk about the state code, Basically, state code in India, all of the states have their separate state codes. You can check the list on the Google. Okay, it is a two-digit code. The first is the first element is state code contain the two digits. Like 19 is for the West Bengal. Suppose if you want to check, you can search on the Google like state codes GST. Here you can see Delhi state code is 7, Goa state code is 30, Gujarat 24, Haryana 6. You can check the entire list by clicking on the site. So first two digits will be the state code. Then next 10 digits will be the PAN number, the PAN number of your business. Then the entity code comes up here. Entity code basically how many business entities you have. It will refer that. Then an alphabet by default should be Z or it can be anything. It is up to the state. Then a check digit. Check digit is an alphabet or is a numeric. These five elements contain the 15 digits alphanumeric GST registration number. We will get the registration number when we get registered for the GST. So guys, till this GST registration number point, is everything clear for all? Kindly have a look on all the topics which we have discussed in this PDF. Then let me know if you have any confusion in any of the point. GST registration number contains the 15 digits alphanumeric code. It contains the 5 elements. The first 2 elements, first element is the state code. It contains the 2 digits. Then the PAN number. After that, an entity code. Entity code basically represents the entities of your business, how many business entities you have. Then an alphabet, by default it should be Z. After that, the check digit. Check digit could be a number or could be an alphabet. Now let's see input tax credit. Input tax credit means at the time of paying tax on output, you can reduce the tax which you have already paid on input. Output means the sale, input means the purchase. Basically, it's a if you have paid the tax if you have paid the tax at the time of purchase, you don't have need to pay the tax at the time of your sale. ITC equals sale GST minus purchase GST. For example, let's see an example here. Suppose we have purchased a laptop at 25,000 and also paid 18% GST on it. So total amount we get to pay is 25,000 plus 18% GST on the product. Okay. Now the same product after that we have sold at 27,000 and collected 18% GST on it. The total amount we have received 27,000 plus 18% GST. Now basically the question comes what amount we have to pay as GST to government. So as according to the ITC, we only have to pay the remaining amount from the sale and purchase GST. Means we will decrease the purchase GST with the sale GST and the remaining difference we will pay to the government. Basically on the product which we have already paid GST at the time of purchase, we can reduce that tax when we have to pay the tax on the sale time. Only the registered person or registered company can do this. If you are not registered under the GST, you have to pay the tax at the time of purchase also, and the entire tax you have to pay at the sale time also. So basically this is the benefit to take the registration under the GST. Repeating this once again, input tax credit means at the time of paying tax on output, you can reduce the tax which you have already paid on the inputs. Means if you are paying the tax on the sale time, you can reduce the tax which you have already paid at the time of purchase. Whenever we purchase normally a product, we will pay the GST and the product amount to the creditor or to the vendor. Okay. In a company, if we sold those items and if we collected GST, we can reduce the tax which we have paid at the time of purchase. It is simple. So guys, is this input tax credit clear for all? If you have any confusion, then ask. All right, now let's see the next. Next is payment of GST. Payment of taxes by the normal taxpayer is to be done on monthly basis by the end of by the 20th of the succeeding month. Composition taxpayers will need to pay tax on quarterly basis. Basically, under the GST, there are two types of registration persons come. One is normal taxpayer and the second is composite taxpayer. Normal is also called as a regular taxpayer and composite taxpayer. Okay, so composite taxpayer basically are those whose aggregate turnover of annual crosses the 1.5 crores threshold limit. Others are called the regular taxpayers. Basically, if in your business your annual turnover crosses the 1.5 crores value, you can take the composition scheme. In the composition scheme, you can get the benefit of like the payment of GST. You don't have to pay the GST on monthly basis. You just have to pay the GST on quarterly basis if you are a composite taxpayer. In case of taxable person files return without payment of tax, the return is not considered as a valid return. Returns we will discuss in the 7th point. So is the payment of GST point clear for all, guys? All right. Now the 7th point, GST returns. Basically, we have to provide the details of sale and purchase monthly basis to the government in the form of GST returns. Like how many goods we have purchased from which party, from which state, how many tax we have collected or how many tax we have paid. All of that information we have to provide to the government on monthly basis in the form of GST returns. There are many types of GST returns available. Let's talk about these. GSTR1. GSTR1 stands for the retails of outward supply, means sales retail. The due date is 10th of the next month. We have to provide our sale detail in the GSTR1 form to the government by the 10th of the next month. In the GSTR2, details of inward supplies will go. Inward supply means the purchase details will go. The due date is 15th of the next month. Then GSTR3. GSTR3 is for monthly return, or we can say summary return. The due date is 20th of the next month. In GSTR3, both purchase and retail summary will go. Not in the retail form, only the summary will go in the GSTR3 return. These three GSTR1, GSTR2, GSTR3, these returns are for the regular dealers. Okay, they have to file these returns on monthly basis. And then GSTR4, GSTR4 is a return for composite dealers. They have to file GSTR4 on quarterly basis. Both purchase and sale detail will go in GSTR4 for the composite dealers. They don't have to file to return the on monthly basis or the separate return for purchase and sale. They can get and deposit, submit only one return as GSTR4. The 18th of the next month is a due date for that. Then comes the GSTR9. It is the annual return for regular and composite dealers both. The due date is 31st December. GSTR9, both dealers will file, composite and the regulars. So guys, are these GST returns clear? For if you have any confusion, then you can ask. All right. Then comes late fee and interest charges. Basically, guys, if you do not file the returns and you don't pay the GST, because we cannot pay the GST without filing the returns. Okay. So there are some late fee and interest charges, like for quarterly and monthly returns, 100 rupees per day, subject to a maximum amount of 5,000. 100 rupees per day will be charged as a late fee or the interest fee, and the maximum amount can be charged up to 5,000 rupees. For the annual return, 100 rupees per day every day, subject to a maximum of 0.25% of aggregate turnover. Means if you are not filing the annual return, then 100 rupees per day will be charged, and the maximum amount can be charged. It is the 0.25% of your aggregate turnover, means your annual turnover. But if you still not file the returns for some specific period, in that case the registration can get cancelled. For the regular scheme, for the regular dealers, if you are not filing the return for 6 consecutive tax period, then the registration will get cancelled. If you are a composite dealer and you are not filing the return for 3 consecutive tax period, in that case, your registration will get cancelled. Consecutive means continuously. For the 6 continued tax period, means for the 6 continuous month, you are not filing the return, then your registration will get cancelled. If you are a composite dealer, you are not filing the return for 3 quarters continuously. In that case, registration will get cancelled. And you will also charge these late fee and interest charges. So guys, is this point clear for all? All right. So guys, you all have this day 11 GST PDF. Kindly have a look on the entire points, entire headings. Kindly have a look on these. If you have face any kind of confusion, then kindly let me know. Kindly do that quickly. So guys, have you done with it? Okay guys, then see you in the next session. In the next session, we will do the GST in the Tally software practically. We will see all the topics. So thank you. Bye bye. Take care.